r/NoSleep. Posted by you/elegant. Nig123. My girlfriend keeps having nightmares. One night I saw one. Everyone has nightmares every now and again. That's not unusual. You could have one in January, then none again until July. They're pretty sporadic and were maybe influenced by something you watch on TV or even something scary you saw 10 years ago. Not my girlfriend. I mean, sure, at first it was like that too. Everything was normal. In our bedroom there's a desk across the room from the bed, and I usually work late into the night, so when she wakes up from one of her nightmares I'm there to calm her down and coax her back to sleep, then I just continue on with my work until I finish and climb into bed with her. Not anymore. I don't know exactly when it began, maybe about 5 or 6 months ago, but her nightmares began happening more frequently. I asked her, "Are you anxious about anything?" Because she has struggled with anxiety in the past, but she argued with me that it wasn't those kinds of dreams anymore. I have no idea what that meant. I even asked her, because lately she'd began watching some YouTuber that plays a lot of horror games, Corey something, to stop watching him and her weird SCP YouTube videos. She agreed, and I haven't seen it on her screen in a while, but no improvement in the frequency of her nightmares. I even asked her to explain to me what happens in the dreams. Maybe her body was trying to tell her something. The way she shut that down immediately concerned me, but her rationale was that she didn't want to scare me too. I rarely have nightmares anyway. But I should have never asked her. Anyway, her nightmares began happening more frequently. I'm talking once a month, then once every fortnight, then once a week. And it's not even like I can ignore her until she wakes up herself. Obviously I would love to, but I can't. I love my girlfriend to bits, I plan on marrying her as soon as possible, and I just can't watch her in so much agony and expect to get back to my work. I mean, it's not like I can anyway. Her nightmare starts normal enough, there's no specific time or anything, not that I've recorded. She starts moaning and groaning, shuffling around, typical sleep things, not bothersome at all. Then, I don't know, it's like a switch flips and she just becomes terrified. She freezes in place, no movement at all, her groans become louder until I can't concentrate on my work anymore and I look over to where she is, then she's full on screaming, still as a ghost, but full on screaming. That's usually when I jump up and go wake her up. It takes a few shakes, sometimes I have to pinch her, and one time I had to full on punch her in the leg to wake her up. And, God, when she wakes up, she already knows it's happened again. She just gets that really sad face on her face and she looks like she's about to cry. She just starts apologizing really hard and looking like she wants to cry, but she never does. I can't really stay mad at her, so I let her know it's okay and if she needs anything. She keeps apologizing more for disturbing my work. She knows I'm always awake cause it's like a little routine we have. I say it's okay again and she didn't even disturb me because I was on my break anyway. She knows I'm lying, but she lets me lie with her as she slowly falls back asleep. Then I slowly get out of bed, walk over to my desk, and sit back down. It hasn't been like that these past few days. A few days ago she had a nightmare, same charade, but when I went to go sit back at my desk I noticed I couldn't hear her breathing anymore. I paused my work, listening to the silence that had gotten louder, and realized she wasn't sleeping at all. I called out to her. "Grace? Are you awake?" There was silence again, before shuffling, and she sat up, turning the bedside lamp on. "Yes," she answered, as quiet as a mouse. "Sorry, I couldn't sleep." I nodded at her, needing to get back to work as I had a deadline urgently approaching, and figured she'd fall asleep eventually on her own. She didn't. When I had finished my work, well into the early hours of the morning, she was still awake, albeit fighting sleep. She kept blinking, pinching herself so she'd stay awake, and when I climbed in next to her and switched off the light she didn't go to sleep again. I don't even think she slept the whole night. This odd happening repeated itself again a few days later, and then last night. Except last night was slightly different. She managed to get to sleep this time, maybe because she had a big exam in a few days and needed sleep, but it was like she was teetering on the edge of consciousness the whole time. She had set an alarm every few minutes, I'm talking every 7 minutes, to wake her up, and it was starting to get irritating. When she woke up for what felt like the millionth time that night, I finally snapped. "Grace, I'm trying to work, could you turn that off?" She mumbled an apology at me and reached for her phone, switching off the alarm and all the subsequent ones she'd set up. The night was mostly uneventful after that. I heard her soft, steady breathing and hoped she'd sleep through the night this time, wanting to get through my work and get to sleep myself. A few moments later was when she woke up. It was the same thing, groaning, shuffling, stillness, then screaming. Except this time she was screaming my name. She was screaming my name and telling me to help her. I jumped up and dove for the bed, almost slipping on some old sheets tossed to the floor. I shook her violently to wake her up, now spooked that she'd said my name, but she wouldn't wake up. She just kept screaming. I shook her, I'm telling you, I pinched her, I shook her again, I slapped her cheeks. Finally I felt tears in my eyes and I had to lift her up. I grabbed her arms and yanked her up so she was sitting upright, shaking her even harder and screaming at her to wake up. She did. She immediately burst into tears and I breathed a sigh of relief, going in to hug her. She was drenched in sweat, but I didn't care, just that she was okay. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. She began, sniffling as she pulled away and trying to stuff her braids back into her bonnet. It's okay, I mumbled, but I was still pretty spooked. I was just a bit startled when you screamed at me to come help you. She froze. What? She asked, gulping down another set of tears that was threatening to fall. I chuckled, despite the darkness of it all, and explained to her that she called out to me to help her once she really got going. As I told her, her face changed. I mean, she looked terrified before, but the expression of utter dread and regret that washed over her features had me chuckling again, my nerves sky high. It's okay, I mean. It's not okay. She cut me off almost immediately. I shrugged at her, thinking she was maybe embarrassed or just really apologetic that she'd said my name. Well, maybe if you told me these dreams I'd be able to help you. Get you a therapist? I argued, quite annoyed. She scoffed, rolling her eyes, but the tears began to fall and she began to hiccup out her words. Mark, how many times do I have to tell you? I can't go to anyone, she cried, and now you're telling me I said your name. With that information she seemed to cry impossibly harder. What's so bad about saying my name? And it's okay to see a therapist, babe, I'll even go with you. I offered. After that she didn't answer, just kept repeating she was sorry and she shouldn't have said my name. We went to bed after that, but I know she didn't sleep. Now I'm typing this from my laptop, I can hear her coming down the hall to come to bed, so I'm going to stop now. I guess I'll let you know what happens, as I'm going to demand she tells me her dreams today and I've already booked her a therapist appointment for tomorrow. I need to know.